Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Side. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जननंदन यशोदानंदन व्रज जननंदन सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hello. Yes, Prabhu, you are welcome for today's class. YADHUNATH Prabhu, you are highly welcome. Can you hear me?
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, I can hear you, but low.
Okay, sorry. Hare Krishna. You are welcome for the class.
Hare Krishna, I don't know what from.
Guranga. So you can start, please.
Okay. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam takto jayamudhirayat nashta prayesha bhadreshu nitai bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttamam sloke bhakti bhavati nashtike Tadara Justamo Baba Kamalo Bada Yaschai Chetaita So we are taking our discussion today. Test chapter 5, test number 8. So I have some devotees with me here. So when I read the shloka, they will respond. Sri Narada Vacha Bhavatano Dita Prayam Yasa Bhagavato Malam Yanai Vasau Natusyeta Mayeta Dasanam Kilam Sri Bhagava Vacha Bhavatano Dita Prayam Yaso Bhagavato Malam Yanai Vasau Natusyeta Mayeta Dasanam Kilam Sri Narada Vacha Bhavatano Dita Prayam Yasho Bhagavato Malam Yanai Vasau Natusyeta Mayeta Dasanam Kilam. So with all humility, I request that maybe 2 or 3 devotees can kindly recite the shloka. Yeah. I mean, devotees in the audience, in the class, the Zoom, if 1 or 2 devotees will want to recite the shloka, we humbly ask them to do so.
All right. Sri Narada Uvacha
Sri Narada Uvacha
Bhavatano Dita Prayam
Bhavatano Dita Prayam
Yaso Bhagavato Malam
Yaso Bhagavato Malam
Yanai Vasau Natusyeta
Yanai Vasau Natusyeta
Mayeta Dasanam Kilam
Mayeta Dasanam Kilam.
Sri Narada Uvacha
Sri Narada Vacha
Bhavatum Praya
Bhavatano Dita Prayam
Yasho Bhagavato Malam
Yaso Bhagavato Malam
Dhanivasisu Natashateva
Yanai Vasau Natusyeta
Mayeta Darisanam Kilam.
Mayeta Dasanam Kilam. Okay, we'll take the word for word translation. There are devotees around here, so they will respond. Sri Narada, Sri Narada, Uvacha, Bhavata, by you, Anodita Prayam, almost not Yasaha, glories, Taha, of the personality
of the personality of God.
Amalam,
Amalam,
by which, Eva, certainly, Asal, he, the personality of Godhead, Na, does not, to Sieta, be pleased, Maye, I think, that, Darshanam, philosophy, Kilam, inferior. Translation. Sri Narada said, you have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered spotless. Let's listen very attentively to Srila Prabhupada purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada K. The eternal relation of an individual soul with the supreme soul, personality of Godhead, is constitutionally one of being the eternal servitor of the eternal master. The Lord has expanded himself as living beings in order to accept loving service from them. And this alone can satisfy both the Lord and the living beings. Such a scholar as Vyasadeva has completed many expansions of the Vedic literatures, ending with the Vedanta philosophy, but none of them have been written directly glorifying the personality of Godhead. Dry philosophical speculations, even on the transcendental subject of the absolute, have very little attraction without directly dealing with the glorification of the Lord. The personality of Godhead is the last word in the transcendental realization. The absolute realized as impersonal Brahma or localized super soul, Paramatma, is less productive of transcendental bliss than the supreme personal realization of his glories. The compiler of the Vedanta Darshana is Vyasadeva himself, yet he is troubled, although he is the author. So what sort of transcendental bliss can be derived from the readers and listeners of Vedanta, which is not explained directly by Vyasadeva, the author, wherein arises the necessity of explaining Vedanta Sutra in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam by the self-same author. Hare Krishna. Om Agyanam Timirandaksya Jana Jana Shalakaya Shakshyo Yumiritam Yena Tashmai Sri Gurave Namaham Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhuttale Swayam Rupam Tadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam E Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantarada Kankanamostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Rade Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutwe Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kapataro Vyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna. So welcome to this discussion, and thank you so very much for this precious opportunity to purify myself on this all auspicious day of Ekadasi and the beginning of Bhishma Panchatam. The subject matter of discussion today, and of course, which has been going on for quite a long time now, is very relevant. Immediate environment is very to me interesting. When he did a lot of, he divided the one Veda into 4. After doing that, he was still not satisfied, and he further made the supplementary Vedas, which include the Mahabharata and the Itihasas. But then he still was not happy. But before then, when he divided these 4 Vedas, he appointed professors to be in charge of each of the Veda, which means that himself was higher than the level of a professor. You know, by material analysis, you go to school, you study, you get some degree, maybe you have your first degree, BSc, you have your MA, you have your doctorate degree. These degrees, you have to pass exam to have them. But then to have a reader degree, a reader title or a professor title, you don't need to write an examination. It is be judged by the kind of work you have done, how much you have touched people's life positively. That makes one to be chosen and be given the title of a professor. So Srila Vyasadeva has done so much work. Not just that he did this work, he appointed professors to guide persons who will have to study these different Vedas. And material analysis, when people acquire a degree, especially higher degrees, they are very happy. And when we see lecturers coming up with a book, 1 title, 2 title, they are especially very happy. They throw huge parties of satisfaction. But then, Srila Vyasadeva, he has achieved more than ordinarily people would achieve, academically and otherwise. He tried to solve all forms of human problems by expanding the Vedas and discussing or giving knowledge on various fields which are aimed to solve human problems. But then himself as a person, he was not happy. He did this work intentionally to solve the problem of the suffering condition living entities, because he foresaw an age called Kali Yoga, which is the age we are now. And he saw that in this age, people are going to have 5 problems. And to solve their problems, he did this great work. But at the end, he was not happy. But then he had to request from his spiritual master, or he had to submit himself to his spiritual master, so that his spiritual master can take him out from the situation of unhappiness and bring him to happiness. So when the spiritual master approached, the spiritual master greeted him very nicely. They greeted each other very nicely. The protocol, the etiquette was properly observed. And because the spiritual master is very much interested in the devotional practice and the general life of a disciple, so he asked him, what is the situation with you? Why are you not happy? What is the problem? So he explained to his Guru Maharaj, I have done so much, I have achieved so much, yet I am not happy. He demonstrated also in his response to his Guru that he had firm faith in his spiritual master. He said the spiritual master knows everything, he can see everything. So he glorified the spiritual master so that the compassion of the Guru can more be awakened, so that the Guru will be very pleased and happy to help him. And we saw in the nature of the spiritual master in this regard, because sometimes we have to correct situations, things happening around us, and sometimes we don't know how best to go about it. The spiritual master, first of all, glorified the work he has done. And then he diagnosed him. Just like yesterday, His Grace Chaitanya Prabhu was mentioning that the Guru will first of all diagnose, the Guru will act like a doctor, he diagnose the patient or diagnose the disciple. Just like Lord Krishna diagnosed Arjuna. Arjuna came before the Lord and he submitted his situation. He explained to Lord Krishna in chapter 1 and chapter first verses, early verses in chapter 2. He told Lord Krishna his situation. And in 2:7, he submitted himself. I am so surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. I don't know what is to be done. I don't know what is not to be done now. So I'm fully surrendered unto you. And then it is commented by devotees who have been approaching this Gita that there come a time in everyone's life where you become confused. There come a time in everybody's life when you don't know the next step to take. There come a time in our life when doubts arose in our heart or envelopes us. This is the time to approach a spiritual master. And of course, if the devotee is sincere to the call in the heart, automatically the spiritual master will appear. So listen, like Vyasadeva had the spiritual master Narad Muni appeared before him. And of course, the duty of the spiritual master is to stimulate Krishna consciousness in us. And that is what the Guru is saying after the disciple have subjected and submitted himself to the Guru. So the Guru is not telling, you have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. Still in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, it is mentioned that whatever kind of activity we perform in this material world, if it does not provoke attraction for Krishna, is simply a useless labor. So Srila Vyasadeva, he has done so much work, but he has not delineated properly and fully the glories of Krishna, the glories of devotional service, and the potent nature of the pure devotees. So the guru is diagnosing him and is telling him, this is the reason you are not happy. By nature's arrangement, we are all eternally seeking for happiness. But then it is explained that the mechanism we are using is not proper, and therefore people cannot become happy. Srila Vyasadeva in other situations and other places, he stimulated different devotees, different personalities in different ways, and he proved to them how they cannot become happy except they take to Krishna consciousness. We saw that they were Jagya Brahmanas. These Jagya Brahmanas, they are smarter and they know the scripture so much. They know so much, so very much. But somehow or the other, they are not actually glorifying the Lord. They are just doing what they are doing, just as a ritual. And to help them, Srila Narad Muni appeared before them and he stimulated them by putting before them a simple question. You are doing this wonderful, glorious Jagya. Who is this Jagya meant to please? And they said, yes, this Jagya is meant to please the Supreme Lord. So he asked them, who is the Supreme Lord? And then there was a tumultuous speculations and argument, counter-argument. You know, some people said it's Shiva, some people say Lord Brahma, some people said it's Lord Indra. Just like that, they speculated. And then because there was no agreement, they decided to search, to conduct experiments to see among these devas, these higher beings, Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, that has been mentioned, which of them is actually the Supreme. So they deputized Bhrigu Muni to carry out this auspicious assignment. And he did that. And then the smarter Brahmanas and Bhrigu Muni himself became purified because now they know God. They established the personality of God, the Sri Vishnu, as the Supreme. Not only that, we also see some situations, another instance, where Srila Narad Muni stimulated a king who had a very glorious kingdom, but then this king was very materialistically inclined. He was engaging fully in material activities. But when Srila Narad Muni visited him in his kingdom, so he was prepared to render all forms of service to Srila Vyasadeva, so Srila Narad Muni. So Narad Muni said, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in these things you are about to offer because I'm an ascetic. I do not possess anything. So the king was by all means trying to please the guru who approached. And then Srila Narad Muni said, it's okay. If you wish to please me, it's very simple. Just get a fool in your kingdom. Give him a stick. Let it take this stick around the kingdom every day. And at the end of the month, you pay him salary. So the king was shocked. Is this what you are going to require of a king? There are so many things to ask. Why this? The king said, don't worry. If you truly want to please me, just do this. So the king accepted and he got a fool and he gave the fool a stick to go around the kingdom and try to continuously do this. But eventually, after a long time, the king became very sick and bedridden. So he gathered his complete household and he told them he's about to embark on a journey. But then, before we continue his discussion, that one person was missing. So they asked him, who is that? He said, please, I need the muka, the fool, to be here present. So they got the fool before him and he told the fool, my dear fool, now I'm about traveling and then I want to liberate you. You are no more a servant, you're no more a slave. From today onward, you are free. He said, no problem, my lord, but before then, you are traveling. You should take take the prince with you. He said, my fool, you cannot understand. This journey, I cannot take anyone along with me. He said, but then take your patni, the first of the patnis along. He said, no, I'm sorry, I cannot do that. He said, then take me along. The king said, I cannot take you along. So, okay, is that the case? Let me prepare a very beautiful horse for you, prepare money for you, prepare everything you will take along. The king still maintain the same thing. All this you are saying cannot be taken along. I have to go alone. So the king said, you just have to do me one favor now. You take this same stick you have been keeping with you for a long time, give it to a fool who is a bigger fool than yourself. So this Mukha, he gave this stick immediately to the king himself. So the king became very angry. Why are you behaving like this? Why are you handing this cane over to me? Why not to some other person? You say, my dear king, there is no bigger fool than yourself, because you have lived your life amassing wealth, expanding boundaries, increasing the number of wives and concubines, but you never realize that a day like this will come, that you will have to travel and you will not be able to take any of these things with you. You live all your life trying to be happy, trying to enjoy, but then you never inquire into the absolute truth. You never think about Sabanda Gyan, you never know about Abidaya Gyan, and you don't know Parujana Gyan, you don't have knowledge about the supreme personality of God, and now you are going to die like a fly. So the king immediately became realized. He woke up from his slumber by the help of the spiritual master, Narad Muni. So by nature arrangement, like we said, we are eternally pleasure seeking. Ananda Lila Mayo Biyasat. And we want to seek pleasure from every single thing available. So this Vedas that has been arranged by Srila Vyasadeva is divided into 3 portions. The Vedic is called the Vedic tree of knowledge. I'm not talking about the 4 Vedas in their names. The Veda, the complete 4 Vedas themselves are divided into 3 portions. So one is Kamakanda portion of the Vedas. The Kamakanda portion of the Vedas teach so many things. If you do this, you get this. If you mix this and that together, you get all that, you know. Then after the Kamakanda, you have the Jnana Kanda. Knowledge about so many things. And the third one is Upashana Kanda, Upa-ashana Kanda. And it's explained that if one properly study each of these Vedas, or these different lessons taught in the Vedas, the Kamakanda, the Jnana Kanda, the Upashana Kanda, you will be happy. By material analysis, by material calculation, your problems will be solved. But then in Nectar of Devotion, it is explained that there are 3 types of happiness. There is material happiness, there is spiritual happiness, and there is devotional happiness. And of the 3 types of happiness, only one is what we should search for. And that is the devotional happiness. Why? Because material happiness is temporary. Spiritual happiness is also temporary. But we are eternal. We are the soul. Something temporary cannot give happiness to something eternal. Therefore, the material happiness, which is the Kamakanda and the Jnana Kanda, is temporary. It cannot satisfy the heart. The spiritual happiness, which is the Upashana Kanda, is also temporary. It cannot satisfy the heart because we are spiritual. We need something spiritual to make us happy. We are eternal. We need something eternal to give us happiness. So this cannot give happiness. So Srila Vyasadeva himself realized this and he was disturbed. And today the Guru is telling, yes, the problem is very simple. You do not do that which will please the Lord. You do not do that which is meant for your own good. In this material world, we are working so very hard because we want to become happy. We are engaging in so many activities, but then we are doing one thing. We are compounding our problems and we are creating bondage for ourselves. We are making rope. We are making rope for ourselves and we are tying ourselves. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text number 14, Lord Krishna explained, today, this energy is very strong. It's very difficult to overcome. And let us break it down because in the law of nature, the Prabhupada explain how strong this mold, this energy, this rope that binds us, how strong it is. So Prabhupada explained that to make a twine rope strong, you have to get first 1 twine, add another 2 to it, you twist it, that becomes 1. Then you make 2 more of such. Yes, thank you for displaying this. So this divine energy of mind consisting of the 3 modes of material nature is difficult to overcome, but those who surrender to me can easily cross beyond it. As is what Krishna said. And Prabhupada is explaining in law of nature that the modes are very strong. Metunya agara is the rope, the knot that binds us in this material world. And we are explaining how this rope is made under normal circumstances, so we can have a clear understanding how strong this rope is. The regular rope, the regular twine rope we use for tying goats, tying cows, is made from intertwining so many twines. You take a 3 twine, intertwine, it gives you one. You make another 3, you intertwine it gives you another one. You make another 3, you intertwine, make another one. Then 3 twines put together, intertwine to make one. So it becomes very strong. So once a cow, a goat is stuck to a rope, to a tree, by this kind of rope, to escape is a difficult problem. And of course, the foolishness in this material world is that we're already suffering, we're already in pain, but out of dense ignorance, we are expanding our pain. When a goat, a cow, an animal is tied to the tree, the cow or the goat or the animal is seeing the fresh vegetables or leaves or grasses around him. And the goat, this animal wants to eat this grass. So in trying to eat this grass, it starts going around and around and around and around. And what is it doing? As it's going around, the length of the rope is reducing. It's reducing, and at a point, the rope will just hang its neck to the tree. And the goat or the animal will tie itself, hang the neck, hook up. Now it cannot breathe properly, except if by some chance a compassionate person happens to pass by, he will release this rope. So this is how our suffering, our struggling in this material world binds us. So still, La Prabhupada explained that our activities, our struggle in this material world is compared to be Pavarga. Pavarga is the 5th letters of the Sanskrit Devanagari. So each one represents something. They have their strong meanings. Pa, fa, ba, ma. Pa means parishrama. Parishrama means hard labor. In this material world, every single person is working very hard for tiny gratification. Then, in working very hard, our next experience is pa. First is pa, and the second one is fa, fena. Fena means foam. You work very hard, foam starts coming from your mouth. You can say fatigue. Then the next one is ba, B-A, ba. Ba means bondage, kama bandana. The activities we perform in this material world, our scripture explains, both pious and impious, they bind us. They don't give happiness. They bind us in this material world. And the next one is ba, baya, fear. One work very hard, acquires so much money, he forms in the mount, but then he becomes a slave to success. Because you become so afraid. Sometimes people become so afraid that they cannot even spend their money. Sometimes people become so afraid that they cannot walk freely on the street. If they have to drive and pass through a street, they need to pin down. People have securities every place around them because of fear. And the last one is mrityu, death. At the end, after all this work, no happiness, no optimal satisfaction, then one dies. Death. His Holiness Narendra Swami Maharaj was giving a class, and he gave an analogy, a story analogy of the way we are struggling in this material world, trying to be happy and ending up not being happy and actually dying. He said that the bee is working very hard to fill the comb with honey, to produce honey. The bee works very hard day and night. They are working. They are doing whatever can be produced honey. And when the honey is produced, the farmer will kill them. Sorry, chase away the bee. So we are in this material world. At a point in time, death will come, like the farmer, with fire in hand. In this regard, with ropes in hand, and chase us out of this body, whether you like it or not. You are going. Therefore, intelligence means that one should take to activity that glorifies the Lord. One should take to devotional service so that you become happy yourself, and all those people who are around you also become very happy. From yesterday, discussion, His Grace Chaitanya Prabhu also high by all means. So even the devotional service we try to perform, the spiritual master gives us the bhakti beach, the seed of devotion. Our heart is the fertile soil. He plants this seed in our heart. And for this seed to germinate, we need to constantly water it. And the process of watering is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with time, the seed will germinate. But then, along with the germinating seed, some weeds will also germinate. And therefore, he said, you need to fence the yard, fence the plant, remove the weeds. And the weed germinating, they are what? Various categories and levels of offenses in the course or process of devotional service. So the fencing process is what you have to constantly hear. You have to render service. And then in due course, this tree will germinate and you become very happy. Because this is what we are looking for. We want to be happy, this material world. In Bhagavatam, it said, Sabapum so paro dharmo yato bhakti adok saje. The supreme occupational duty for every living entity is devotional service to the Lord. By nature's arrangement, everything has got its purpose or its function. The Dharma, the religion for water, is liquidity. The Dharma, the religion for bitter leaf, is bitterness. The Dharma, the religion for the soul, the living entity, is service, eternal loving service to the Lord. So it's only in this service that we become happy. We speak about Lord Krishna, we tell others about Lord Krishna, we directly engage in devotional service, practicing the 9 process of devotional service. Last time His Grace, Ujashishan Prabhu was giving lecture, and he explained the 9 processes of devotional service. So when a person properly, faithfully follow these 9 processes of devotional service, automatically become happy. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, Lord Krishna said, 10:9, Machata Madhata Prana, Buddhayanta Parasparam, Patayanta Kumam Nitya Tusyanti Charamati Cha. That the devotees, they derive great satisfaction and joy from always enlightening one another and conversing about Him. So what we need to do to become happy, 10:9, Machata Madhata Prana, Buddhayanta Parasparam, Patayanta Kumam Nitya Tusyanti Charamati Cha. That the devotees, they derive great satisfaction and joy from always enlightening one another and conversing about Him. So what we need to do to become happy, 10:9, Machata Madhata Prana, Buddhayanta Parasparam, Patayanta Kumam Nitya Tusyanti Charamati Cha. That the devotees, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Can I be heard? Hare Krishna.
Carry on, please. Carry on.
The things I said before were playing back to me.
No, it's okay.
All right, thank you. So Krishna himself actually said that the thought of his devotees dwell in him. So we engage devotional service. We are happy discussing about Krishna. We are happy telling others about Krishna. And Krishna keeps us in his mind. And of course, still Krishna himself requested us in Bhagavad Gita that Mama na baba mat bhakto mat yajima namaskuru mami wasyasi yutraiva atmara mat parayana. Lord Krishna himself is teaching us how to perform this devotional service. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee and worship me. This is 9:34. Be completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. So we need complete absorption. If we become absorbed in thought of other things, these other things will create problems for us. By nature's arrangement, we have gotten a mouth and we always want to talk. So proper explain in Nectar of Instruction that if we are discussing subject matters that are not connected to Krishna, it is like the croaking of a toad. It's calling serpents, snakes to come and eat it up. So therefore, if you want to have life and want to have life more abundantly, our duty is to take to proper Krishna consciousness. The fish can only be happy when it is in its natural habitat inside the water. So if you take a fish out of water and you give the fish so much money, you give the fish cigarettes to smoke, you give the fish beautiful wives or good husband and whatever, the fish cannot become happy. It's not possible. So also, like Sadhava is being told here, we cannot become happy if we do not have Krishna. We cannot become happy in this material world if we do not engage in devotional service. And actually, in Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text number 4, there's a word here, it says, Tata Jayam, the means of conquest. The means of conquest. This Bhagavatam is a means of conquest, and this Bhagavatam is discussing what? It's discussing about Lord Krishna, his activities, and his pure devotees, and thereby we are encouraged to seriously and properly, faithfully take up Krishna consciousness. So in this material world, every single person is trying to be happy, but today we are being told the science, if we want to be happy, then we should take to Krishna consciousness. We should give up dry philosophy, some speculations, all that should be given up, because the constitution of the soul is to perform loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna explained in Bhagavad Gita also that Krishna said that the living entities were all part of him. But because of living a conditioned life, we are living a conditioned life, so we are having issues. We are bound up by the modes, and we are having situations. And of course, we are made to understand too that we should not also think that we are doing anything. We are not the one in charge. Lord Krishna is always in charge. His Holiness Labhachita Swami Maharaj explained that this life we are seeing, or our life, is a triangle. There's angle A, there is angle C, which means that angle B is missing. And in mathematical situation, they will say find B. So until we find B, we will not be satisfied. So angle A is ourselves, and angle B is our interaction with the environment. But then angle B is missing, and that is Krishna. Once there is no Krishna, there will be crisis, there will be issues, there will be problems. There is no way we can become happy. Therefore, our duty is to look for B. So whatever we are doing in this material world, whatever anybody is doing in this material world, if people are not getting satisfaction, if they are not becoming happy, it's only due to one reason: because they are not becoming Krishna conscious. So the Prabhupada wrote a book, and he titled the book, Consciousness is the Missing Link. What consciousness? Consciousness of Krishna. A lady was given a very special jewelry by the husband, the king. And somehow or the other, she went to take her bath in the river, in the stream, and she misplaced. She came back home, she couldn't find this jewelry. And then the husband made an announcement. The king announced to the whole kingdom that whoever found this jewelry should return this jewelry, and that the person will be happily, beautifully rewarded. So some people heard this and they started searching for this jewelry. And you know what it means? In searching, when you are searching for something, you don't become happy. You'll be in anxiety. So they were all in anxiety, searching for this jewelry. And of course, one man came across a water body, and he saw this jewelry shine very well, very nicely inside the water. So he did everything possible. He dared the jewelry. Each time he's trying environment to secure the jewelry, he came out of the water and he sat down on guard. And of course, our same precious Narad Muni, he came by and he saw this man and he asked the man, "What is your problem? You look so morose, you look tattered, you look distorted, organized, unkept." He said, "My friend, thanks for asking, but please promise me that if I tell you my situation, my problem, you will not take advantage of me. And of course, if you help me to solve my problem, I will only give you 5% of what will be the benefit from what I am looking for." That money say, "I don't want anything. You just tell me, I will help you out." And he took Nadamuni to the water and he said, "You can see this jewelry is here. I've been trying my best possible to get this jewel out of the water, but I am not able to do so. So if you help me to do so, I'll be very happy with you, and I will give you 10% of the amount of money I will get." Sri Ramuni brought this man, this poor wretched haggard man, out of the water. He said the jewelry is not inside the water. The jewel is outside of the water. And he said, look up there. And he saw that, and he said, yes, our happiness is not within the material world. Our happiness will not come about from possessing material, looking up to Krishna in the process of devotional service. You may continue to do whatever you are doing year in, year out. If you are not engaged in conscious Krishna consciousness devotional service, you cannot become happy. Yesterday, Chaitanya Prabhu was mentioning one of the characteristics of pure devotional service, which was Krishna Laguta Krita, the only means by which you can purchase Krishna. And of course, number one is Klesha Agni. Devotional service burns off all forms of material pain. And you will understand what happened. We become naturally happy. So if we truly want to become happy in this material world, then we have to engage consciously in loving devotional service. And of course, in nectar of devotion or otherwise, bacteria Samrita Sindhu, devotional service, you have to end service of the master of the senses. And of course, we also made to understand that you cannot just understand devotional service like that by with your ordinary senses. Therefore, it is also said, Atasri Krishna Namadi, Mad Bave Graya Indriya, Seva Muke Ijiwado, Swayam Eta Suratiada. When you engage the upadis, you engage all your senses in the service of the master of the senses, then the mystery of the understanding of the Lord will naturally unfold. So conclusively, because of time, we appreciate Srila Vyasadeva and we appreciate Srila Narad Muni for giving us this, for acting this drama for us to learn from. So personally, I have learned and I pray that I'm able to follow. The only way by which we can become happy in this material world is to delve deep into Krishna consciousness, into devotional service. We may acquire so many things, it may be anything, but without Krishna, it is nothing. 1 million zero is equals to zero. So in this material world, we are busy gathering zeros. And no matter the bags of zero, it remains zero, it's useless. But when you add 1 to 1 0, it becomes 10. When you add 1 to 2 0, it becomes 100. If you add 1 to 3 zeros, it becomes 1,000. If you add 1 to 6 zeros, it becomes million. So whatever we are doing now will become meaningful if we just add 1. And that 1 is Krishna, which we can get through the process of devotional service. So thank you so very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your class. Appreciate. We have a question from the chat room. From Sundari Devidase, she's asking, it is said when we feel pain in devotional service, it means we are not practicing nicely. Then the question is, what if a devotee is giving us anxiety and we are feeling the pain? Does that mean we are not following nicely? Bhuvana Sundari, Sankirtan leader, Lagos, Nigeria.
His Holiness Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Guru Maharaj, he mentioned that if a devotee is disturbed by the activity of another devotee, it means that that devotee himself is not standing on solid grounds. We must always consciously and consistently remember the words of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna wants undivided attention. And if you have the time to begin to think of the anxiety that is given to you by someone else, and how are we going to meditate with rapt attention on Lord Krishna? One disciple, he came to his guru and he told the guru, please give me Krishna prem. The guru said, you just have to wait for some time. He went on and on disturbing the guru. So eventually the guru said, it's all right, no problem. I give you Krishna prem. So you follow me, let's take a stroll. So this is a story told by Srila Prabhupada. And they got to a water body or to a stream. And the guru asked the disciple, you get down, take some water. So this disciple took some water. As he bent down to take some water from the stream, the Guru Dev pressed inside the water. And he started struggling. He was struggling. And eventually the Guru released him. And the Guru asked him, when you were inside water, what were you thinking? The Guru Dev, he told the Guru Dev, say, my dear Guru Dev, I didn't remember anything. I even forgot that you pressed me inside the water. I forgot that you were standing by my side. I was thinking of only one thing, and that was her, a means of survival. And the Guru Dev said, yes. When you become so attentive in Krishna consciousness, your thought will be only one. Like Krishna told Arjuna, only one pinpointed attention. So whatever distractions that may be in the environment, you will not be affected by it. That is why a devotee is called Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa means that the Hamsa bird, when milk and water is mixed together, is able to take out the milk and leave the water. By nature's arrangement, our environment cannot be calm and cool. There are definitely always going to be some devotees around us who are going to be creating anxiety for us. But then, if there is no devotee around us creating anxiety for us, what is your exam? No examination means no promotion. So the devotees or people we have around us who are creating anxiety for us, actually they are well-wishers because they help you to understand your level of attainment, where you belong. His Holiness the Bhakti Damodara Goswami Maharaj was speaking 2011 Jamastami, and he mentioned that Kamsa is a well-wisher. If Kamsa didn't do all that he did, how are we going to see the plenty glories of Lord Krishna? And he further said, Ravana is a friend. If Ravana didn't do all that he did, how are we going to see and learn from all the various pastimes that were performed by Lord Ramachandra? So in a simple language, one should also always hold strongly on the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. We should know very well, there are 10 practical tips for mind management. And one of them is that no one can make or mar your career. So if we have made up our mind to practice devotional service, it should be expected that some people will give us anxiety because this life we are living is called kunta. But then you should be prepared to deal with it in such a way that it will create a leverage for you for your devotional advancement. Hare Krishna. And of course, let me add little thing. It's just like in the Bible, Jesus Christ saying that the son of woe unto him who will be used. Though we should not be disturbed about people who create anxiety for us, but some of us who are into the act of creating anxiety for others, we should know very well that we are creating our next body, because our scriptures explain that if you create anxiety for a devotee who is sincerely trying to perform devotional service, you yourself, you are going to become a worm in your next life, inside stew. It's a horrible situation. And not only that, you will go to hell and you will drag your family members along. So if we ourselves have this in mind and people are creating anxiety for us, we don't need to be disturbed because we just understand that they have decided to kill themselves and to kill their family members by dragging everyone to hell. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Our next question is Krishna Sevika.
Can I be heard or no?
Yes, I can hear you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a very nice class. I appreciate that. I have a comment and a question that fulfilled because he failed to adequately glorify Krishna. And devotees can, devotees who suffer in their personal lives from one thing or another, often they go to senior devotees and senior devotees say, well, maybe you're offensive or maybe you're not, observing the 10 offenses against the holy name, this, that, the other thing. But if they're introspective and they look how they live their life and they consult senior devotees to get an objective assessment of how they live their devotional life, they may not appear to be really doing anything wrong by an external calculation. But sometimes many devotees, and we see, many stalwart senior advanced disciples of Prabhupada, they died very untimely deaths. Some of them have become mentally ill. Some of them have fallen into impoverishment or chronic illness or different things. And these things, despite the fact that they've been serving faithfully and diligently and properly. For in many cases, that's that question I had for you was in the beginning. You were talking about the three aspects of happiness being material happiness, spiritual happiness, and devotional happiness. If you can just, we all know what material happiness is, but if you can differentiate or distinguish between what is spiritual happiness and what is devotional happiness, please.
Thank you very much. So spiritual happiness is happiness gotten from some kind of CDs, mystical CDs. Some people, they are very mystically inclined. They're able to create a planet. They're able to move from one place to another. They can divide themselves. They can be seen in different places. You know, they have some relishment, some bliss they get from this. Here in Africa, here in Nigeria, there was once a powerful magician. This magician will put his wife in a mortar and pound her to powder. And then she will recite some tantric mantras and the woman will come back to life. So he was very happy. He was making so much money from doing this. He can just ask somebody to lie down and then he take knife and chop the person into pieces. And then with his powers, he will bring the person back. And he can just put himself down for everybody to be beating him. But though he's been beaten, but he's not feeling the pain. So he had huge crowd, huge gathering. So many people were following him. He had disciples everywhere. Wherever he go, people are happy. People are following him. But on a fateful day, or an unfortunate day, something happened. He pieces his wife and he could not bring her back to life. And what happened thereafter? He became sad, became morose. And we saw in the life of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we had about 3 personalities who were very powerful. They had all forms of mystical energies. Because of their prowess, their achievements, so many people were gathering, people were following them. One of them was, people started calling him Bhagawan. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur went to him and warned him. You are bearing the name Bhagawan, but you are a jiva. You are not Bhagawan. He said, forget about it. These people are calling me Bhagawan because I'm like God to them. I'm giving them what they want. I'm pleasing them. I'm like no other. So don't stop me from bearing Bhagawan. And of course, eventually, he did so many things. He will create the problem. When people have this problem, they go to him. He will solve the problem and create another problem. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not just an ordinary magistrate. He was spiritual and material. When I say spiritual, it means that he was all round. So eventually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur arrested him. And then they shaved him. When he was arrested, he was inside the prison. His powers were still growing. It's a long story, and I'm sure many devotees and yourself will be familiar with this story. So, but eventually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, shave him, remove his hair. So when the hair was removed, he became powerless. So now that he becomes powerless, where is the happiness? So spiritual happiness is temporary because at a point in time, it will be taken away from us. If no human being is able to take away our spiritual happiness. But when we are Yamaduta or Yamaraj will stand before us and force you out, whatever it is, you leave it. You are going. There's nothing you can do about it. That is the reason why every single person quitting this body, he quits the body with cardiac arrest. Because now you are forced to give up all that you have and continue your next journey. So devotional happiness is far superior because it cannot be taken away by anyone. It cannot be taken away even by Lord Krishna himself. Krishna himself said he will really give bhakti. But when bhakti is already in your possession, Lord Krishna himself cannot take it away from you. You will always possess bhakti, except you willingly give it up. And of course, the bhakti in our heart cannot completely leave us also, even if we decide to leave it. That is the reason why we see that sometimes devotees quit ISKCON. They leave the movement. After 5 years, after 10 years, they come back. And when you ask some of these people, they tell us that when they remember Samsara, when they remember Guru Vardhanam in the morning, the Samsara Dava we sing every morning, they are so happy. They are missing everything. And they feel that their life is not complete, so they want to reconnect. So in a simple language, spiritual happiness is happiness derived from mystic practice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Our next question is Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble greetings. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I have 4 questions, but I'm going to ask one after the other so as to give in room for other people. In the discourse of your class, you did made mention about continuously about the material world and about how how the influence of the material world, how it operates and how everything is in the material world. But then we also understand that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that one should do his own prescribed duties. And you did give reference about the 4 or 5 Sanskrit words, pa, fa, ba, ma, something like that. You did give reference of that. So as a devotee, we are practicing Krishna consciousness, and yes, indeed, we pass through some certain situations in our life. So how do we exclude the point that some of the situations we pass through, some good, some bad, just like you did give mention about some question about a devotee, someone doing bad thing to about other devotees, trying to bring other devotees down and everything like that. Now, how do we understand that even the bad thing that is being done or even the negative thing that is being said, is it not also based on karma? Now, this is my point, karma. How do we reconcile karma in all these points? Because they say that nothing, Krishna says, not a blade of grass move as without my sanction. Yeah, that is true. But also nothing happens to you that is not there in your quota. Just like you gave reference about the goat that is tied on the rope and is being moved, made to move around, again and again. Now he's moving around in his own allotted quota. So how do we reconcile karma in everything? The good thing people do, devotees do to us, the bad thing devotees do to us, the good we do to devotees, the bad we do to devotees. So how do we reconcile karma in this point? This is my first question, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Lord Krishna himself said that one who understands the intricacy of karma does not lament. So karma is very, very deep. So the Prabhupada mentioned that for anybody to take birth in this material world, it means we are all thieves. We have some karma, so we have to come here. Therefore, maturity means that whatever we are experiencing, when the experience is going, we should immediately understand this is my karma. And gratitude and appreciation means that, because I'm trying to perform devotional service, the all-merciful Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, has helped me to douse down, to reduce my karma. So whatever I'm experiencing now, I'm supposed to experience manifold of it. But by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, it has become this small. Then higher, in another way also, if I truly believe that I am a pure devotee, because our scripture made us to understand that pure devotees don't have karma. So if I truly believe that I'm a pure devotee and I'm engaged in Krishna consciousness, I'm engaged in devotional service, then my negative experience, I should be seeing them as the mercy of the Lord. I should be seeing them as the handwork of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is trying to see, is showing me enough love to try to help me to grow. His Holiness Bhatta Swami Maharaj explained in Spiritual Warrior that if a person is standing behind you and the person prick you from behind, you will naturally move forward. So a devotee that is in Krishna consciousness should understand that whatever hardship we may be passing through or that we are made to pass through in Krishna consciousness is a ladder to help us to advance in Krishna consciousness. And at the same time also, we should also know that sometimes people who speak ill of us, so many experiences that we have, they are to help us to become humble. It's because of the mercy of the Lord. The Lord see that is a particular quality we need to develop. So sometimes the Lord will create a situation that will help to humble us. Just like Brigumuni. It was explained that Brigumuni was elected to carry out that assignment because there's only one quality he has not been able to do away with, and that was ego, pride. And in kicking the Lord heavily, very hard in the chest, the way the Lord reacted automatically humbled Brigumuni. He became purified. And of course, a curse, which we may also say a blessing came. The Brahmanas henceforth will never be materially opulent. So Brahmanas are actually supposed to be very, very humble people because you don't have material possession. So in a simple language and a conclusion to this, we should see everything that happens to us as our karma. Then higher than that, if we think we are very deep in devotional service, then we should see it as a mercy of the Lord. His Holiness Labeta Swami Maharaj explained the 5 principles of humility. And the 5th one says, work very hard as if your success depends on this, but know it in mind that success or failure comes about by the mercy of the Lord. So, and beside that, Lord Krishna also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, I think 26, Yadhunath, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever austerity you may perform, whatever you offer, it should be done as an offering, which also means whatever austerity experience we are passing through, offer it to Krishna. We should not worry. It's just a matter of time. Everything will become clear like DVD. Hare Krishna. Because you have many questions, so I will try to
Okay.
I don't take too much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Next question from Sahadev, Prabhu. Sahadev, please.
Hare Krishna, Shriman Yadhunath Prabhu Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you for the class. I had the same question I think Kevin asked, but I think I'm quite okay with your answer about material, spiritual, and devotional happiness. But I think I'm okay with that. But you did mention about devotees accepting and appreciating whatever another devotee does to us. And we should see that as mercy. And you also talked about chanting of the Maha Mantra, which is like watering the beach, the seed. I'll use myself as an example. It seems there is something really, really seriously wrong with me because I've been chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for about 30 years now. And I'm still as rascal as I am. What am I doing wrong that the seed of devotional service is not sprouting? That's my question. But again, thank you very much for the class.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Well, devotees are very humble by nature, but then first of all, I will tell you, you are doing very nicely because a devotee means whatever happened, remain in Krishna consciousness. The Prabhupada said that this movement I have created for you is a boat. It's either you are outside, hanging on it, or you are seated inside. But the difference is that when you are seated inside, you will get full protection. The waves from the water will not beat you. But as long as you are hanging, whether you are hanging and your body is inside or you are seated inside, as long as you are hanging, you will get to the ultimate end. So we have been in this movement for years. We are performing Krishna consciousness. We are chanting Krishna Maha Mantra. Sometimes it appears that nothing is happening. It's just because sometimes it looks like we don't see. And of course, we are blind. But Krishna is only we make a prayer. Since time immemorial, engaging in so many sinful activities, years. Whereas in 1 million lifetimes, we have been coming and we have been engaging in sinful activities. It means that our karma is very high and it will take a long time to burn it all down. So we have to have firm conviction that each time we chant one nam is a minus from our negative karma. Each time we chant, it's a minus. The karma is going down. Whatever is hanging in our body is going down. Our heart is very dirty. That is why we are here. that's why we take birth even in this particular age. We start this Mahamantra and want to shoot down and do like daybreak. Everything will become glaring for us. So in a very simple language, I don't want to go into so many things because there are so many ways to look at it. Okay, because this person is doing this person is doing this. But the truth is, we just have to patiently continue to chant. Whether we are chanting Nama Parad, or we are chanting Nama Bas, or we are chanting Sudanam, the Prabhupada said, continue chanting. And with time, it will become Sudanam. And when it is Sudanam, everything becomes perfect. And you become very, very much happy. Sometimes in these movements, devotees come to us and they say, we are not allowed to do testimony. It's not good. We should sometimes do testimony. And sometimes we ask them, why are you interested in testimony? Say, because there are so many things Lord Krishna is doing. There are so many experiences we are having, of which if we have the opportunity to share with others, it might encourage them. So what am I saying? So in our individual life, there are so many experiences we are having. And if we look very well, we see that, yes, this process is actually working. There's no doubt about it, it's working. And of course, it is very good that devotees should always think that his best is not enough. I am chanting Mahamantra, I am still not purified enough. That is the reason why even the Paramahamsas, even though they're already on that level of Paramahamsas, they are still chanting. One, because of their humility. Two, to encourage others, to inform us, to let us know that at every stage in our life, we need to continue chanting. Srila Haridas Thakur, he was chanting, and he had so many problems. He was chanting so many rounds, 300,000 rounds Nam on daily basis, and he was flogged in 22 marketplaces. I don't think any of us will have that experience. But with that experience, he still have faith that the Mahamantra is doing something, and he kept on chanting. And eventually, one day, he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was on this particular day, he was regretting and lamenting. Just look at me, I've become very old, I can't chant properly. So Mahaprabhu started reminding him, you see, you were taken to 22 marketplaces and you were flogged. Did you feel the pain? He said, no, I really did not feel the pain. I didn't feel some pain. He said, because I was receiving the whips for you. So there are so many things we are passing through in our lives. Lord Krishna is taking bullets for us. But because we are not seeing, it looks like nothing is happening, but really something is happening. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Maybe we go back to Sukadev for the second question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for the wonderful explanations. My second question is regarding to Bhakti Bija. We speak about Bhakti Bija a lot, and naturally we say it is the seed of Bhakti that is being given to us, or the spiritual master give to us. So most of the time, this is a question I ask myself all the time, and this is something I need clarification from elders and seniors like you. Is it because, as I said, the seed that the spiritual master give, or the seed that the scriptures give, the seed that we receive, Bhakti Bija. Now, is it a seed or is it an idea? Because when they said a seed is something you have to, you see, or a seed is something that you see. But is it an idea? Just like for you to build a house, or an architect gives you an idea of how the house is going to be. So is it that the spiritual masters or the scriptures, Bhakti Bija, is like, this is an idea of Bhakti that if you implement on it, it will become more prosperous for you? Because when you say a seed that grows in the heart, please, this is my question. I believe you understand the point I'm trying to bring.
Hare Krishna. Because the Guru plants the seed in our heart, so we are not seeing the seed. So we will think it's an idea. It's a seed, but the Guru already planted it in our heart. So what we just need to do is to water it, chant the Krishna Mahamantra and do seva. And of course, if we take it as an idea or we take it as whatever, but the truth is that Krishna consciousness is given to us by the spiritual master. That's my very simple, quick answer to that. It's planted in the heart, so you don't see. You only see when it's already sprouting. When it has germinated, then you can see. Hare Krishna.
Do we have any other question?
Yes, Ojasvi.
Okay, Ojasvi has a question. Ojasvi, please go on.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yadhunath, thank you very much for your wonderful class today. I just want to ask one simple question. So those who are not brahmacharis, like the grihastras that stays in various communities, some of our devotees find it difficult to chant. Even the brahmanas find it difficult, so even to chant their Gayatri mantra 3 times daily becomes a problem to some of our devotees. I want to know, is this because they are losing faith, or they are doing that as a negligence, or they are doing that because they have been overtaken by Maya? So what is your advice to devotees who have refused to chant their Gayatri mantra? Well, of course, we know that we are not for such devotees. And what is the resultant action for the initiate?
I think this is very, very simple to understand. If a devotee is not chanting his Gayatri mantra 3 times a day, it's a clear message that that devotee is not chanting 60 rounds. There's no 2 ways about And of course, Prabhu was telling us about 3 kinds of star, that there are 2 types of disciples. The Satakapa Bhakta came to the Guru, came to Krishna consciousness, not because they want bhakti. So even when they are giving initiation, they will not act the way they are expected to act. There's no commitment. So whether they are busy or they are not busy, you see these people, they're not chanting properly, or they chant 1 round once in a month. They don't chant their Gayatri because they took the initiation only for fame. We have seen this our great movement even here in Nigeria. Many devotees who left the movement because they traveled for initiation and the initiation was not given to them, so they left. So if we are taking initiation just because we want to take flower before the next person, then it's obvious we are not going to chant our Maha Mantra very nicely. And at the same time, we are not also going to chant our Gayatri thread. That is the reason why also now it is resolved that before any devotee takes initiation, he should do guru-disciple course. But one thing about human beings is that when we are determined to get something for our own selfish interests, we are ready to pay whatever price is put before us. So in a very simple language, our inability to perform properly in Krishna consciousness is not due to any environmental factor. It is because we are not abiding. Because according to the proper arrangement, a devotee should wake up by 3 a.m. Between 3 and 4, you are expected to have chanted 8 rounds. Then from 5:30 to 6:30, you have chanted another 8 rounds. 16 rounds is done. And of course, if you attend Mangalati regularly, whether in your house or in the temple, because the Prabhupada explained that wherever a devotee found himself is a temple, which therefore means that all the daily devotional activities should be performed wherever we are living. So if I'm living in my house and I'm doing Mangalati and I'm doing Japa until 6 o'clock, definitely I will chant my Gayatri. At the same time in the afternoon too, a devotee is conscious, no, this is a vow, this is a contract I have signed, and it will be held against me. If I break this contract, it will create some problems. So why would that devotee not chant his Gayatri in the afternoon and chant his Gayatri at 6 p.m.? So in a very simple language, I am sorry, with all due respect, this is just simple negligence and unseriousness that make these things to happen to us sometimes. But Bhagavad Gita clearly explained from chapter 12, text number 14 to 20, what it takes to be dear to Krishna. And one of the things is that one who is not disturbed. You are not disturbed in midst of good things, in midst of bad things. Nobody put you into difficulty. In a simple language, you are not controlled by situation. So it's not because, oh, I am doing business, I cannot chant my rounds, or I cannot chant my Gayatri. I am doing this, I cannot chant. No. These are just excuses because we are not ready to do. Once we want to do, we do. I always tell devotees that I've had a personal experience in my travel to India. The most noisy environment I have been in my life is the train. I don't know, maybe because I'm taking a sleepers class. The train is very noisy, but inside train, you will find people sleeping for 8 hours, 10 hours without waking up. They continue sleeping. Why? Because they want to sleep, so they silence every noise around them. Their meditation is sleep, so they are sleeping. So if I want to chant, I will silence every other noise around me, then I will chant nicely. If I want to chant my Gayatri also, I will put every other thing aside and do what I have to do. Once a professor was lecturing and he asked the students, if I have a bucket and I have to fill the bucket with all the items displayed in this table, but in filling the bucket at a point, some of the items didn't enter. What went wrong? What is the problem? Why is it that the item didn't go inside? And I'm told that everything is supposed to enter inside the bucket. So many students, they started speculating, started saying so many things. And the master said, because you put the wrong thing first. If you put the wrong thing first into the bucket, others will not be able to enter. So because we are doing the wrong thing first, so we are not able to do the right thing. At the same time, there's a preaching that is going on among our devotees now, that we practice Krishna consciousness and material life side by side, not just sleep, because nobody will cater for you. Everybody is on his own. So take your, whatever you are doing, take it very, very serious. Yes. But then the thing we are expected to take most seriously is our devotional service and the vows we have taken, because that is what's going to determine how the Guru is going to save us at the end. And of course, Gayatri mantra is a mantra of appreciation. So if one is not able to recite Gayatri mantra on a daily basis, it means that he's not appreciating the Guru. And the evidence of that also is that we are fighting every day among ourselves because there's lack of appreciation. We're not appreciating the Guru. We're not appreciating the Prabhupada. So there are so many chaoses and so many energies, so many things in our environment. So that's how much I can say to that, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful class. We ask our devotees to kindly unmute yourselves and let's chant Hare Krishna for Prabhu for coming. Our time is over, our 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama.
Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada ki. Jai Gaur Hari Premanande.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Prabhu ki jai.
Gauranga, Mahaprabhu. West Africa Yatra ki. Prabhupada ki. Jai Gaur Hari Premanande.